Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a new video. Welcome to Moscow City. I'm back here in the center of Moscow. It's raining outside for 2 days, and I thought I'd come to Moscow City and check out a little bit of an interesting convention. It's right behind me. We're gonna go for a walk around and see, is it really interesting or not? The event I've come to is called Parking Russia. Now it's held over 2 days, and I'm here on the first day of the event, and I'm very curious how many people are here at this expo, how many different exhibitors there are, and the fascination about parking cars in Russia and everything about parking. I'm just smiling a lot because it's just interesting, the fact that there is an exhibition for everything. And I wonder if anybody ever thought that there might be a parking exhibition somewhere where they live in the world, and the fascination behind all of the technologies that go into parking your car. It's very ironic that I've come to a parking expo and I don't even own a car here in Russia, and I've come to a parking expo to look at all the things that are to do with parking. It's just very fun and interesting. I think all the different expos they hold in this expo center here in Moscow City, and today it's about parking. I haven't really walked around. I've just walked in the entrance where I've started the video from here, so it'll just be interesting to see some of the different exhibitors and what they're showing, and how do you possibly make up a whole expo about parking, and all the different stands here. It's actually held in 2 halls, so it'll be just interesting. The one thing I really want you to take note of is the amount of people that are here, and perhaps they're curious just like I am, perhaps they're exhibitors, maybe they're buyers. I'm really not too sure. The one thing I'm seeing lots of as I walk around are the parking meters, or the machines where you pay for parking, and the different types of them. And I imagine self-parking, where you've got the card payments right here, and all the different versions of those. And some of the exhibitors, a little bit hard to figure out what they're doing or what they're promoting. Perhaps they're involved in the construction of car parks, looking at the video for this one right here. And then I think also I spotted a car off in the distance. I think they have some things to do with EV parking as well. I think I've actually found the first EV charger right here. Now, the thing with electric vehicles in Russia, they're not hugely popular because in wintertime, it's just very difficult to extend the battery life of electric vehicles. And then also you're limited as to where these chargers are located once you leave your house. So to find off-location charging stations, maybe in a car park or in a petrol station, there's just not that many of them. They do have them in the center of Moscow, but the thing is, if you turn up and someone else is already there, you're kind of stuck, you know, and you can't kind of park up if someone's already in the spot. There's some demonstration of chargers for the cars. Now, of course, you can't really replicate the real world in a exhibition like this, but I guess it's possible to some extent. There's lots of the boom gates as well, and the self-parking. Of course, in Russia and even in Moscow and in other cities, there is a lot of apartment buildings, and they're building a lot of undercover parking or underground parking, particularly in new buildings. And it's becoming very novel to have parking boom gates and even options for payment if you're a visitor at parking lots underneath the apartment buildings. Again, lots of people now. This is probably not as busy as some of the other expos that I come to, but there's definitely lots of interest in the different events and everybody's fascination with parking their car and something that's so mundane and everyday normal. And then if we might even want to buy the speed bumps, there's speed bumps here, there's the bollards, and then there's the different ripple strips as well. So there's somebody selling everything to do with parking. As I'm walking around, there's lots of different booths which are quite niche to the parking industry. And I saw these containers here, and I thought that it was something to do with fire suppression. And they had a video running here showing the undercover parking in a parking garage and how the system is similar to sprinklers, but the water comes out at high pressure, almost like a fog or a mist. So this is kind of quite a unique technology, and this is one of the places where they can sell this equipment. Does anybody have problems with parking their car at home? You can actually buy one of these parking ramps for 2 cars. I mean, how big would your garage need to be to put a second car on the top? It's really quite interesting. This is actually for sale to private buyers. The actual company is from Belarus, of all places. And these guys here are the guys who came to visit from Belarus to promote this company. And they have one of these multi-level parking stations as well, which is super interesting. They've actually got these in Belarus already, but their main country that's buying these are in China. Would you park your car in one of these multi-level parking garages? I think they're super interesting. I've actually seen a couple of these before, but I've never got up close with one. As I'm walking around a little bit further, there's some different booths talking about the flooring in car parks and the types of non-slip surfaces that they can install. There's a few different options here where they're essentially completely non-slip, and they put them in factory floors, in any kind of car parks or in underground car parks. They're also using this in metro stations as well, and even in factories. And it's just very interesting that, you know, when you come to this exhibition, all of the different micro businesses that all come back together again. So Polmirko, it's very interesting. And do actually even just chat to these guys. This company is from Kazan, and they have their business here in Moscow. As I walk around a little bit further, they've got more flooring companies and different types of flooring that you can use. And it's just interesting how many different versions of these companies there are. You know, how many car parks are there in Russia? Or I guess how many new car parks? All the different types and colors and varieties. I mean, a lot of this is focused on underground parking, which is not out in the elements and out in the weather. And the whole point of a lot of this is the non-slip and waterproof version of the flooring that they're putting down. So when I'm making these videos, I don't normally walk around ahead of time, and I just walk from booth to booth and have a look what they've got, and then try to find something interesting to talk about. And then the whole aisle here, as we've come down now, are all flooring companies. And what may look quite similar, obviously there's slightly different versions of the flooring and different technology involved in it. But it's just fascinating that there is a whole aisle of floor coating companies at this exhibition. Can you imagine? They've even got lectures and masterclasses in parking and parking technology, and all the different people here listening to the different special guests who are talking about parking. If you're a follower of the channel and some of my supermarket videos, you might know that I get followed around everywhere by these drive-on floor cleaners. And what would you know? There's actually a booth that's promoting these machines. And almost every video I make at either a shopping center or a supermarket, there's one of these running around somewhere. It has to be a part of this video, I think. And then not only can you get companies to do the flooring for you, there's also different businesses that actually sell the chemicals or the resins and polymers for applying on the floor that you can do yourself. And this company even sells the different rollers and squeegees to do that, and all of the materials to do the flooring or non-slip flooring or different types of safety walkways like you see in the pictures. And this company is from Tula. There are so many small booths as I keep walking around, and all of them have just something slightly different from the other. And there's also some electric vehicles as well here, and then the different types of the EV chargers and different versions of the ones that would be used in public places like petrol stations, and then the ones that would be for private use in houses. There's also a company here that's got the flooring for driveways, where you can put the grass and the stones right there. And then of course they'd be trying to promote this for car parking. So it's super interesting, each of these different booths and what technology that they're promoting in reference to car parks. Well, this company here has got the boom gates for the entry into parking garages, and a lot of them are also advertising these for shopping centers and the bigger maybe apartment buildings or skyscrapers. There's another company here with the flooring and even the different finishes that you can do with the aggregates. More boom gates. Wow. I mean, I never knew there was this many companies that produce the technology for car parks before now. Have a look at this electric car here. Wow. I don't even recognize what badge this is. Anybody knows what model of car this is? Let me know in the comments. But it's pretty cool. And again, the companies here are promoting the electric charging. And I'm pretty sure most of these are focused around private houses and the standalone charging units that you can put in your car. Oh, this is a Zika. I've actually seen a few of these models in some of the car conventions that I've been to. Where you live in the world, if you're watching, have you got Zika cars? Let me know, please. Do they exist beyond just the ones I've seen on display everywhere? There's another company with boom gates, and they're actually talking about the technology behind it, where they've got the license plate recognition as you come in. This one's called Hippo Parking. And then even they've got the camera there that will detect the license plate so that they can then record who's entered and exited the place. And there's even a car lift parking, which is kind of interesting. I watched a YouTube video recently with Colin Furs, and he's building one of these under his house, or in the entrance of his house, and he wants to put the car underground. Then it comes up and he can drive away anybody's seen videos by Colin Furze, it's a little bit later on now than when I initially arrived. So it's not quite as busy as when I first walked in. There's still people here, of course. It's also a little bit darker outside as well. It's getting darker now in Moscow, 4 or 5 p.m. And when you're in winter time, you've really got to get out early in the day and make the most of the weather and the sunlight. Here's another Boomgate company. And I've also got the surveillance cameras here to detect the license plates. This Hike Vision is quite popular in home security cameras as well. And they've got the pay stations. So these will be designed for shopping centers where you can pay for the tickets and the parking. And they detect your number plate as you come in. Of course, I don't expect thousands of people to watch this video. So it's either going to be a viral video with 1 million views or a couple of thousand people might watch it. Would you ever think that there's an entire convention about car parking? Before watching this video, I hope I've made it interesting walking around and showing you some of the different things and different booths. And I find it interesting personally, so I hope you do too. Looking at these different units from Pandora, I have a question for everybody. Does anybody who's watching this video, do you have an electric vehicle? Do you have a home charger, maybe in the garage? I'm very curious if I've got any subscribers on the channel who might have an EV car, or perhaps they've driven one before. I've actually driven one of the Moscovich electric vehicles when I went to the factory. That was pretty interesting. The one thing that I kind of forget about them though is the need to charge them, and the range of the cars, generally 300 to 500 kilometers. That would be something that would bother me too much though, is knowing I've got to find somewhere to charge it up, or I've got to remember to charge it in the evening. So let me know in the comments, do you have an electric car? Would you like one? Is it the way of the future? There's even a separate company here that just has the keypads for the payment gateways and the tap and go gateways. It's really interesting. They've got the Visa and MasterCard logos on them. And yet here in Russia, we can't use them if you don't have a Russian card. So any non-Russian cards wouldn't work, but they're still using the logos of the different payment types. What I really do find interesting is just the amount of people that are here. Now, it's probably a little bit busier earlier, but just the amount of people who are having conversations about boom gates or about the flooring for car parks and how there's an entire industry dedicated to it, and the people that have come here to this specific event have just come to talk about car park technology. One of the things that I found probably the most interesting is the different booths that have got the EV charging stations and all of the private companies that are selling the different devices for home use, like the one right here. And then this one on the wall would be for use in a parking station or in apartment buildings parking. And one of the interesting facts that I got out of all of this is Moscow City, where we are here with all the skyscrapers and all of the businesses, they don't actually have a public EV charging station. Now, maybe where you live in the world, like in America, England, Australia, Canada, let me know in the comments, do you have public charging stations at maybe at a petrol station, at a hotel, and do they exist around the city where you live? I just found it fascinating about how many are in Moscow as a city versus all of Russia. And this company right here have these different versions of the chargers, and the idea is to obviously get these in as many car parks as possible, in as many public locations as they can, and then, you know, create a network of charging stations around Russia to allow people to be more confident when they buy an electric car. Okay, everybody, as I slowly make my way out of the Car Parking Expo, I really hope you found this interesting. I actually got some candy to take home, and this was specifically told to me I've got to give it to my wife, so it's not even for me. So thank you to the station or the booth that gave me the candy. Let me get out the door here. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching Traveling with Russell. I hope you found this video fun or interesting or informative. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Maybe I can give a candy up today. I don't have any hands to do the thumbs. If you'd like to follow me on Telegram, there's a link to Telegram right there. You can join me on the channel and have a chat, maybe conversate about some of the things that I talk about on the videos. If you want to see a new video, there'll be one coming up on the screen right now. You can check out an older video from the channel, maybe something you haven't seen before. And I'm off on another adventure. Bye, everybody.